Imagine walking 500 miles with a teenager. Well, 80s star Andrew McCarthy did just that and wrote a book about it. Earlier, he told us about his trip with his son and about his upcoming documentary about the Brat Pack. Check it out.
Andrew McCarthy, welcome to DBL.
Thanks, good to be with you.
Andrew, I have to ask, your new book, Walking with Sam, it's about walking the Camino de Santiago with your son, Sam. And I wanted you to just paint the picture to our audience, what the Camino de Santiago is and why it was so important you wanted to walk it.
Yeah, it's an ancient pilgrimage route across the north of Spain for 500 miles. You walk over mountains, through cities, through desolate fields of wheat. It was something I did 25 years earlier when I was a younger man, and it was a life changer for me, and I'd always wanted to do it again, and so I invited my soon-to-be adult son.
Wow, what a bonding experience. So you just mentioned this was your journey, literally 25 years ago. So what did you learn about yourself the second time compared to the first time you did the walk?
Well, the first time I was in a very different place in life. I had no kids. I was on my own. I just sort of was coming out of that period of early success with the Brat Pack and all that stuff. And I think I was suffering from a bit of what we now call the imposter syndrome, in the sense I didn't think I deserved what I'd gotten in a certain way. And it helped me really sort of walk home to myself, if that makes any sense. And I also discovered how much fear I sort of carried into the world. And it was a really liberating experience, really life-changing. And as my son, 25 years later, as he was sort of cusping adulthood, I wanted to have the opportunity to try and get to know him as a young man, as opposed to just as a kid, you know, and get the opportunity to sort of see him and for him to see me in a way that we sometimes don't with those we love.
I love that because it forces you to really get to know your child, right? You're not distracted by the electronics and all of that. And what I found really compelling in the book is Sam was going through a breakup during the trip, but he also brought up your divorce from his mother. Why was it important for you to be honest with him about relationships, specifically about yours with his mom? I mean, I was really impressed, by the way.
Well, I mean, if we're not going to be honest with our kids, who are we going to be honest with, you know? And I think that notion of divorce is, you know, that was a conversation we'd had many, many times through his life. I think the first time him and his mom and I got divorced when Sam was 2. And so, yet we talked about it dozens of times over the years, but each time as a child gets older, they have a deeper understanding of this kind of stuff. And so I think, you know, everyone has a right to know what it's about, things that are affecting them deeply, you know. So I just felt it was, you know, he had every right to know what the deal was.
On the last day of the trip, Sam said walking the Camino was the only 10 out of 10 thing that he has done in his life. How did this make you feel hearing this after spending weeks with him?
I cried.
Yeah, of course. I almost cried asking you that.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's interesting because day 2, he said, "Dad, what's the point of this walk?" And he didn't say, you know? So to have him get to, it's the only 10 out of 10 thing I've ever done in my life, you know, I knew that the event happened for him, just the way it had happened for me the first time I did it.
The journey is different for everyone. That's right. Now, you're making a documentary about the Brat Pack. You recently reunited with Lowe, Emilio, Estevez, and it had been over 30 years since y'all had seen each other. What was it like being in a room with them again? Was it like time had never passed?
It was kind of like it was yesterday,
Aww.
You know? And it was great because we had so much affection for each other in a way that I don't think we did when we were young. When we were young, competitive and insecure and stuff, and to just come back, and we were members of this club that we didn't even really ask to join, and we're bonded together forever.
Yeah.
You know, to a certain generation of people, we are the avatars of their youth, and so to see everybody again, it was really surprisingly touching.
Oh man.
Well, let's talk about that, the thing that brought you together, because do you feel like the Brat Pack label is what distanced you all from each other, or do you think you would have been in each other's lives all these years if the Brat Pack was not a thing?
I think that's a really good point. I mean, I'm sure we naturally would have drifted the way people do in show business. You sort of drift different ways. But once the Brat Pack label, the irony is, once that label was sort of cast upon us, which we hated at the time, you know, it was cast sort of in aspersion. It was, you know, now it's become this iconically affectionate, warm and fuzzy term for a moment in pop culture, you know, but at the time it was a pretty negative thing. And the very name Brat Pack made us sort of scatter in a way that probably expedited our sort of drifting apart from each other.
Wow. So honest.
I know.
I love it.
It's
I want to
love
walk the Camino with him. Okay, sorry.
We all do. Thank you for joining us on DBL today. To our viewers, grab a copy of Andrew's book, Walking with Sam, wherever books are sold. We will be right back. Congratulations. Very
Mazel.
cool. Congrats.
Thanks.